Hey
Happy
guys.
New Year! Great to see you.
Welcome to the PS Flavor Club. This is our first recipe, our first video. You guys are making our day. We're so excited that you're here with us. Whether you're cooking it live with us now or you're watching it archived, we know it's going to be delicious. You can follow it along with this amazing woman, Pam Smith. She's a chef, nutritionist, she's my mom, and we're getting to do all of this together. Growing up, I didn't really ever watch her and figure out how she was cooking so beautifully, and it wasn't until after we started the PS Flavor Spice line about 5 years ago that I thought, ooh, I really want your flavors in my kitchen.
Right.
And so I had the spices, and I use them, and I loved them, and my daughter loves them, and they're great, but I didn't really feel like I was using them as much as I could and the best way possible. So finally one day I went to my mom and said, would you please teach me some of your tips, tricks for cooking in a kitchen and getting the most flavor? So we talked and we decided that that's what we needed to do for you. So from our kitchen to yours, welcome. Thank you for joining us. What are we going to make today?
We are making a delicious dish. I will tell you that Nicole and I have had an opportunity to do demonstrations just like this at the Epcot International Food and Wine Festival. I know many of our PS Flavor Club members are watching right now and are very much a part of it and have seen those demonstrations. Well, this is the kind of thing that we do. We look at how to put together a dish that is over the top delicious, but very approachable at the same time. Ingredients that you can easily source, although I think a few people had some hard times finding things like flat leaf parsley and red tart cherries. We'll talk about that. But it's foods that your family will love, and most importantly, that you can put together in a way that doesn't stress you. And that's kind of what this is about, is how to enter into the stress-free zone. I know a few of you are together, cooking together, maybe sipping a little wine together. You're out of the stress zone. But others might be feeling a little intense with, did you do your pre-prep? Did you do the mise en place, that everything in its place? Well, we're going to kind of walk you through that, but many of you, I know, downloaded what Nicole had posted for the mise en place, so perhaps you already have your onions chopped. You might already have your red peppers chopped, or maybe you got very innovative and went to the grocery store and bought them already chopped, and that's fine too. I'm going to walk through very simply, making sure you kind of know how to do an onion cut, how to be able to get the right kind of dice on your red peppers, and how to roast. Again, what this is all about are just, as Nicole said, the tips and techniques to make it delicious and make it delicious every time.
That's right. And speaking of no stress, so this is a no stress kitchen. We hope your kitchen is a no stress kitchen right now too. If you have any technical difficulties, don't stress about that either. We're going to post this later. You can keep going with your recipe that's in your little booklet, and just keep making what you can. And if we happen to get off the air at any point, we'll reset and get right back to you. So let's start.
And they can ask questions, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We have two amazing people. We have Curtis, who's running our video. We have Jenna, who's one of our Spice Girls, and she's going to be answering or moderating any questions that come in. So if you have questions, you can just type them in the little comment section. She'll read them, and then she'll get them to us so that we can answer as we go. We really want this to be a cooking class. We want it to be interactive. So if you need something, you let us know. There's a slight delay, so just be patient and we'll get to you.
Great, fantastic. So you asked what we were having today.
Yes,
and I said
you
it was
didn't
over
answer.
the top. I didn't answer.
Okay.
So we're doing the Warm Winter, which is our very special spice blend that's only for the PS Flavor Club. Warm Winter Rubbed Pork Tenderloin. We're going to be rubbing it. We're going to be pan-searing it, getting it into the oven where we'll finish roasting. Going to be topping that, or having it with rather, a sweet potato, red pepper, kale hash. And that's going to be delicious. And to make it even more, we're doing a beautiful red tart cherry, that ingredient many of you were looking for, chutney, and using the cinnamon sticks that you found in your PS Flavor Club kit that came to you for winter. So if you don't have those pulled out yet, get those in place as well. And we should get started.
We should, and we wanted to let you know that, believe it or not, and I will tell you this is one of the reasons why I knew we could do these classes, when Pam Smith cooks, she gets it started and she gets it done. So we're going to be cooking this from start to finish, and we think that we're going to do it in about 45 minutes plus some Q&A time. So get ready to cook. Should we have them preheat an oven?
Yeah, definitely. We've got our oven already set on 400. So if you've not done that yet, get over there, get the oven set 400, because we're going to be using that not just to roast the sweet potatoes, which will be going in a moment, but also to finish roasting the pork tenderloin. So set that at 400.
Preheating their sheet also,
well, yeah,
right?
and that's again one of those tips and techniques, right? Everybody is kind of into pan roasting and pan roasting on sheet pans. One of the things I never see in recipes is something that I think makes all the difference, and that's to get your sheet pan in the oven. We already have ours in the oven getting very hot. So as the oven's heating to 400, so's the sheet pan. So when we add those sweet potatoes, you're going to hear, or at least we'll hear, a little sizzle. You'll hear that at home too, and that's your sign that that heat is already beginning to caramelize, in this case, the sweet potatoes. So get that sheet pan in, let it heat along with the oven.
All right, I like it.
Ready
so what
to go?
are we starting with?
Well, again, we're starting with the prep. And again, many people already have that done, but we'll just go through that very quickly.
Okay.
Again, if you didn't look at that to do in advance, everything in its place, next month, you might want to do that and have things kind of ready for you, because it'll make the whole process, again, much more stress-free, which gives you an opportunity to sip a glass of wine on occasion, right?
Yeah. We do it sometimes in our food and wine glasses.
In our food and wine glasses, of course. Okay, so we're going to start with the sweet potatoes as our first prep. I've already have paired the sweet potatoes with, the classic pairing tool. And then I've already started to dice some. I'm using a knife that I'm in love with. You all know, particularly if you've seen any of our demos at Food and Wine, I'm in love with Cutco knives. And this particular Cutco one is absolutely my favorite. It fits perfectly in my hand. It's sharp. It's almost an all-purpose. So
the petite Santaco?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And
okay, and
really
the 5
great.
inch. So the petite
The
one.
petite, which works great for me. I mean, again, you can get the nice big chef knife, many do. This is a chef's knife with a difference, because it just fits my hand absolutely beautifully.
And great for vegetables.
Great for vegetables. Oh, it's actually great for vegetables. It's great for meats. It's, again, all-purpose. It even has a wide enough blade that you can transfer right to it.
I have another camera that we're calling the Nicole cam that
Nicole
I'm
cam.
going to grab so that we can get a close-up of what you're doing.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
So here we go. So I've cut it in half. Always key to keep a flat surface. It's really one of the food cutting safety tips, because you're cutting a very hard vegetable, and that's a sweet potato. One of the reasons that sometimes getting things like butternut squash or sweet potatoes already pre-diced for you is really a lovely thing. You're kind of just cutting through there, and then once you've got your planks, then it's quite easy to just do the little chop of them. We're just cutting them into some nice chunks. These are chunks that are going to go right into this sweet potato hash.
Okay.
So in that we go with what we have already. I'm going to go ahead and maybe cut just this one more so we can add to it.
Now, if you did yours, if you cut you got yours already done, you should comment something so that we can all be jealous of you.
Yes, that you already have them. The interesting thing about this, and it's one of the reasons I love this recipe so much, is you can get this done, the sweet potatoes already cut in the pan, roasted, and in the refrigerator the day before, 2 days before. And then when you get ready to assemble the hash, you literally just pull it out, let it come back to room temperature, and you're ready to go.
Okay.
Or you could do it a couple of hours before. But once you get the sweet potatoes in play, then we're going to drizzle it with just a little touch of olive oil.
Okay.
Extra virgin olive oil is my oil of choice, and I particularly love it in this. Going to add to it just a little touch of citrus spice.
Okay.
Again, that's part of the winter kit. The citrus spice just gives it just that little touch of spice, but lemon, lime, ginger, little coriander and cumin. It's a perfect little touch for the sweet potatoes because then while they're roasting, that's going to help with that browning and caramelization process. Get those nice tossed together. Remember, we have our sheet pan in the oven, so if you want to follow along, down we go. The sheet pan is in, hot. So we're going to pull that out and listen to the sizzle happen. Oh yeah, that makes us happy every time we hear it. Let those just kind of get nice and even on the pan and let them work their magic. They'll need to roast anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes depending on just how big those chunks of sweet potatoes were. We'll let those go, and in the meantime we'll go ahead and carry on with the rest of our prep.
Okay, well I'll keep the Nicole cam then
the Nicole cam's happening.
See what you're doing.
We also need some onion, and again I know a lot of you already have that cut. If you've not diced an onion before, again, you obviously cut the bottom half off. That's the part that has little stalk. With that, it makes it very easy to peel the peel away, which is just that paper that comes with the onion itself. Cut it in half, but don't cut this top end off because you want to use that to be your secure to then just follow the lines of the onion. The onion is easy to dice because
so
it's
you're not
already
cutting all the way through. You're going about.
I know I'm cutting all the way through, but not to the top, right?
Okay.
Because I want to be able to have that hold the onion slices in place. Why? Because then I'm going to trying to get it so that you can see it as well. Then I'm going to flat hand cut. Cut a little slice right down the middle, so then when I come back with my knife I've got beautiful dices.
Oh wow.
You see, and notice the hands are always set with my fingers straight so the knife goes like this and doesn't want to take those little tips off.
Yeah, we don't want to take any PS Flavor Club tips off.
No, we really we want to give tips, not take them
Yes.
away. So then just kind of take that down. We'll add that to the onion I already have. Again, I diced one onion. I'm going to use half of that onion in the sweet potato blend. I'm going to use the rest of the onion in the tart cherry chutney.
Okay.
And there we go. Okay,
great.
Moving on. Onion done. Next up, we also have our garlic. And again, I know many of you are absolutely prime garlic choppers. I'm always asked the question of how do I do garlic the quickest and the easiest, and the tendency is to want to go to the little jars of garlic. It's one of the few things that I just absolutely despise in the grocery store. Well, there's many, but that's one of them. Because you just have this chemical taste. You're not getting the essence of the oil. Whereas if you just get a whole garlic, try to get one that's a pretty large headed, and then you can pull the cloves apart. The only difficulty is kind of getting the skins off, which isn't so difficult at all. The way you do it best, using your same knife, and now the palm of your hand, is just give it a little bit of a hit and a smash, and what happens is the paper literally peels right away.
Wow, talk about a knife skill.
If you decide that you want to buy peeled garlic, I'm fine with that. Just don't get the one that's actually in the jar. Once you get it cut, that's exactly, or the paper off, you just want to take it right through, do a really fine mince. Using your knife, you can just do a little bit of a mincing motion and add it to the garlic that I've already begun chopping.
Fabulous.
Okay, everybody's with us? Jenna, any questions yet? So far, so good. Okay.
Okay.
So on to the pepper. Now the pepper, again, so many ways. You see people cutting them and trying to scrape the seeds off. This, if you don't do it already, will change your life. Literally just cut the top right off. And then what you have is the seeds in the middle. Literally just cut the pepper, so you're cutting planks away from those seeds, and with that you're not having to seed the pepper at all, because the knife has done it for you. What you're left with is just some really beautiful planks, a seed here or there. Once you get the planks, you want to literally just cut those into first slices that then you will dice. Once you get them cut into the slices, turn it, and then just do some nice even dices.
All right.
Is that the easiest way you've ever seen a pepper cut?
It really is.
So we'll do the same thing, and I'll add that to what I've done here. And the last vegetable that we're going to do a little pre-pep on, which is probably the easiest of all, is scallions. We're going to be using 2 of those for this dish. You want to cut just the tops off, and those are those that have been exposed to the elements a bit. And then again, same knife action, just a little rocking, just cut some nice even slices. Take it all the way down. The green is where a lot of the flavor is, but I always like a little bit of the white too. I like a little bit of crunch. It holds up to the heat a bit. So I take it down just till it's about a ½ an inch up from the stalk itself.
Okay.
Good to go.
Great. Well, I'm going to put the Nicole came away because you have prepped all our veggies.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Might be a good time to check and see how our sweet potatoes are doing. Thinking that they probably have been in about 5 minutes.
Maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, about that.
Okay, they're cooking away.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. You can, kind of squinch them around a little bit and try to get them nice and even.
So just moving them around with the spatula?
Moving them around with the spatula.
And what are you
works
looking
great.
for?
I'm looking for them to start to turn a little bit brown.
Okay.
Caramelize just a bit. It just evens out and brings the sweetness in the sweet potatoes to life.
Okay.
And that's what we're looking for exactly.
Great.
Okay, this can go. Gonna move away. And next up, time to get action on the pork. Now the pork tenderloin, some of you have already potentially removed the silver skin. If you've not, this is the way you do it. I'm switching knives, and this is also a Sentaku knife,
yes.
But this is the trimmer. And this
we're
is
gonna
special.
pause for a second because I think that we're maybe getting something, a technical issue. So let's just pause for just a second.
Okay.
And see if it, we'll be right back. Okay, so technology got us for a second.
Technology tried to get us, but
it did. But we're remembering that it's a no-stress kitchen.
Exactly.
So we're just going to keep going.
Exactly.
So we pretty much did our segment 1, being our prep. We talked about why we do what we're doing, what we're getting from it. We did our vegetables. We learned some really cool tricks.
Mm-hmm.
We got our sweet potatoes in the oven.
Right.
They're cooking away, getting browned.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think we're going to move to meat, but did you want to make sure that everybody got that tail end with the scallions?
Yeah, I think that's the only thing. I think a lot of people had commented that they'd gotten to the red pepper, and all that we did with the scallion is literally just do some nice little slices, slices that then we'll use when we put together the sweet potato hash. And speaking of sweet potatoes, they've been cooking away, so we should probably take a little bit of a look and see how they're doing.
Now, what are you looking for?
Again, looking for them to just kind of take on a nice brown caramelized look. So I'm going to give them just about another 2 or 3 minutes, which should be perfect because it's going to get us ready to do the pork.
Great.
Okay.
All right. So this is a warm winter that we're using on here. Now, warm winter, like Mom said, is the blend that we developed just for you all. It's been a little chilly, or even in Florida, yes. But around, well, when we were first developing this in the fall, thinking about winter, thinking about what we smell, what we want to smell through the winter, what makes us think of winter, we thought of citrus, we thought of cocoa, we thought cinnamon, and those are just a few of the things. Chili, espresso. We have some turbinado raw sugar that's in it to get that great caramelization. So that's what you have, and we hope that you love it. you're going to use it in this recipe and the next recipe in February.
Right, for sure. So pork tenderloin you should have in front of you. Again, maybe you've already pulled the silver skin off as we discussed. If you've not done that before, you want to use also the same, also the same name, the Santoku knife, but this is the Santoku trimmer. And this is, again, my other all-purpose knife. It's just perfect for cutting small vegetables, for mincing, and perfect for doing just what we're doing. It has a serrated edge, and basically I just need to remove the silver skin. It's on any tenderloin, beef tenderloin, lamb tenderloin, veal, and it's not that it's a harmful thing to leave on, it just doesn't have a great texture. It has a little bit of a muscly, chewy kind of a feel in the mouth. So you see I'm just literally letting the knife kind of guide taking that off.
So what I saw you do, you almost made a little hole at the beginning, and then you just glide your knife along.
Right along it, which is why this knife works so beautifully. Again, it's the trimmer. So that's just what I'm doing, is trimming the silver skin.
Okay.
So once you're done, you've got the tenderloin ready to go. If you see any excess fat that you might want to remove, you can do that. But it's that silver skin that you're really looking mostly to take care of.
Okay.
And then the warm winter, this is a rub. And so because of that, you really want to use it. This isn't just a little sprinkle. This is really a rub. So we're covering it with the warm winter rub, covering it in a way that you really don't any longer see the pork. What you see instead is just the rub itself. Turn it again because you want every side to taste good. Let it get right onto the dry.
Now, what about these kind of creases and crevices? Do you just try to rub it into that also?
Just fill them. What you'll see is that we'll kind of push it back together a bit, because when it sears, we'll be able to see that kind of become all one. Some of it's already fallen onto the cutting board. You want to use that because now you can literally just roll the
almost
pork
like
tenderloin.
A rolling pin.
It really is in some ways, and so it picks up that residual. So don't worry about if some of it has gone onto the cutting board, and even don't forget to get the ends.
Oh, nice.
So once you've got it all set and ready to go, at the same time you want to have your pan ready to go. Would you take a paper towel for me?
I would love to.
So I can work on this. Thank you. The pan I have is an oven-proof pan, meaning that I'll be able to use it to go not just on the stove, and it's already heating on the stove, but I'll also be able to then put it right into that 400-degree oven. So what we'll want to be doing is getting this in a high way.
Oh, okay, do we have a question? Before we go with that question, while we're getting to that, if they haven't already, please put your pan on your stove, turn it on high heat, because we want to get your pan smoking hot before you put this pork on. So do not put your pork on yet. Wait until your pan is very hot. Jenna, what is our question?
Well, Chill James would like to know if it is better to add your garlic at the beginning, and if it is, why? Because he generally adds it at the end when he's sauteing vegetables so as not to overcook it.
Well, that
will you repeat the question?
Yes,
just in case.
Just in case. So question from Chill James is that, do you put your garlic in when you're sauteing all the vegetables? We're going to get to that when we do our sweet potato hash. We'll start with the onions, the sweet peppers, and the scallions. Then we'll add the garlic right at the end of that saute, because garlic will burn very quickly and it gets bitter very quickly. So really smart, Chill, the way that you're doing it. Add it a little bit to the end of it.
Okay.
Already a top chef. So we want to make sure that this is nice and hot, as you said. You can sprinkle just a little bit of your spices in, and if you see them starting to sizzle and pop as they did, that means it's time to add just a little touch of olive oil. So we're back. We've had quite a fun time with little technical glitches, but we got our vegetables done. The sweet potatoes have come out of the oven. I've got my pan nice and heated.
Which your pan is probably nice and heated by now too.
Yeah, I've turned mine on, turned it off, turned it on, but it's back on and it's very hot. And now I'm going to add the pork tenderloin.
Okay, great.
So this is the searing action that we're looking for. And again, as soon as it gets into the oven, you hear, or into the pan, you hear that sear, and that's really what we're looking for.
Okay.
We're looking to sear it in the pan first, but let the oven finish it off. It's probably one of the biggest tips that restaurants use that help them to get your meat at the perfect temperature every time. Even steaks, they'll sometimes start on the grill and then we'll finish them off. Salmon, chicken, again, pork tenderloin, absolutely perfect.
So we're really just getting the outside now.
It's the outside,
Okay.
and again, outside that's delicious because it has the warm winter rub. And so what's happening with that high heat is you're getting that beautiful caramelization and sear. Notice what I'm doing with the tongs is I'm just turning it, letting it go about a minute or so on each side, all 4 sides, and just continue to turn.
And you're leaving it for maybe 30 seconds?
30 seconds to a minute.
Okay.
And then kind of just taking it all the way around, and you see that it's just starting to get that nice little, almost charred, but you get those aromas.
Yeah.
Hopefully you will get the same thing as you start to do this sear on your pork tenderloin. Now I'm back to the final, and one more turn, flip it over, and now it goes into the oven. Because I've removed the sweet potatoes, I've got a free oven that is all set to go.
But you kept it at the 400.
Kept it at the 400.
Okay.
Very important, because again, we want now the temperature of the oven to be able to finish the pork cooking.
Okay.
And it cooks shockingly quick. Again, I usually look at it at about 6 to 7 minutes.
Okay.
Again, I tend to like my pork a little bit more on the medium rare side, which
And I'm a
scares
little bit
a lot
more
of
on the
people.
medium side.
Yeah, so again, you can choose it. What I just try to get people not to do is to do a well done shoe leather type. That's the difference. So all the way
I think
through.
we have a question.
Yes, we do.
We do. Mary Beth Johnson says she's missed how long to sear each side.
Gotcha. Okay, so Mary Beth Johnson asked how long to sear each side, and what we said was about 30 seconds to a minute. So you really want to see that nice caramelization on every square inch of that pork. So even the ends of it, the sides, all the way around before you put it in your oven.
Right. So again, 30 seconds to a minute into the hot oven. And while that's cooking, then it's time to move on to the chutney, which is very exciting because it's one of my favorites. I use this in so many ways for so many different recipes.
Now, are you using a cast iron skillet?
I am, because I love cast irons. My mom's skillet, she's had for, she probably had for 70, 80 years. And it's just one of those parts of cooking that just brings heritage back in, and with a chutney, it's just kind of perfect to do, and it looks fantastic too.
But if someone doesn't have one?
Any skillet that is nonstick, and it can be a pot too, because this is a chutney.
I've seen you do it in a pot.
Yeah,
a
little bit taller, especially if I'm making a larger quantity. I get that going. I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil, not necessary to do. You could just use a little bit of nonstick spray. And then going to use half of those onions that we had already chopped. The other half is going to be used for the sweet potato hash. The onions just need to start caramelizing.
Okay.
Again, into the pan. We're not looking for them to get, crispy. We're looking for them just to kind of start to melt and become a little bit translucent as it goes. That won't take that long to do, but we want to kind of take some time, and we'll be a little bit patient with it. I'm going to turn the heat up just a little bit so we can get that going.
And this is kind of where Chill's question came in, of waiting on garlic. So we're really best to start with onions and let them get translucent.
Right. Well, and in this case, we want to just kind of let them go. I generally let the diced onions saute for let's say as much as even 5 to 6 minutes.
Okay.
And then I will add the garlic and just let that start to saute for about the last 30 seconds before I start to add the liquid.
Okay.
What's happening with this onion is as it's sauteing, it's starting to leave little onion deliciousness on the bottom of the cast iron skillet. You hear all that searing and sauteing that's going on. When we add the apple cider vinegar and when we add the apple juice to it, that's going to serve as almost a deglazer. It's going to pick up all of that deliciousness from the bottom of the pan.
Now, while I have this little Nicole cam going right here, I want to go over and show what the sweet potatoes, where you took them out.
Absolutely. Okay.
So pop over here.
Okay, fantastic.
And what I'm seeing on these is not brown all the way across, but I'm seeing brown on some.
Yes.
And
so,
is that almost what you're looking for?
So you're looking for just that little bit of caramelization, that little bit of brown. And again, you also want it soft to the touch. So you see as I push it, so you can kind of test that with a little bit of a spoon or your spatula.
Okay.
Okay, so while this is sauteing, along with Chill's question, I'm going to add a little bit of the garlic. And just going to saute that for about another 30 seconds or so. Again, back to that answer, if you let it go a little bit longer than that, you can burn the garlic, and burnt garlic is just ever so bitter, not what you're looking to do. So as that has sauteed, now I'm going to start to add my liquids. Again, these are the deglazers. So I'm adding a little bit of apple cider vinegar.
Now when you say deglazer,
see what's happening?
Yeah.
What it's doing is it's liquid that's picking up all of that fond that's in the bottom of the skillet.
Okay.
So you let that go for just a little bit. Smells amazing for those that are doing a little bit of smell test. Then I'm going to add my adobo and chipotle.
Okay, so not adobo kitchen.
No.
We're talking about
chipotle pepper that's in adobo sauce. And that comes, a lot of people ask the question about that.
Oh, well, and speaking of question.
Yeah, we have one.
Yeah.
Chill James would like to know the advantage of the red onion over the white onion.
Ah.
Why you chose to go with that.
Wow, that's a great question too. Red onion I like because it has just a little more flavor. There's some dishes that I use Vidalia or sweet onions, Maui onions, Walla Walla onions, because you're looking for the sweetness. But red onions give just a little more of a bite and just a little more of a flavor profile. So if you're wanting kind of, again, a sweet note to your onion, that's where you would use a sweeter onion. Yellow onions are pretty versatile. You can use those in almost any dish. Red onions, I tend to use probably more than any other though, because it has just so much flavor. I added the chipotle pepper. I just gently chopped that. If you are a little opposed to heat, you can take the seeds out of it too. In any pepper, be it a jalapeno or chipotle, it's always the seeds that carry most of the heat.
Okay.
But as you know, I tend to like heat, so I've added that. Now I'm going to add the cherries. Again, these are red tart cherries. I'm in love with these for many reasons. I'm in love with them because of the flavor. I'm in love with them because of some of the wellness aspects of them too. Tart cherries are considered a superfood. They're powerful inflammatory agents. Eating tart cherries enables the whole inflammatory process just to cool down. So it's really a great thing. Contain natural melatonin. It helps with sleep. Tart cherries are the bomb.
It sounds like it. Now,
I know.
I remember that, or I feel like I remember we're putting citrus spice into this. At what part in that step do you flavor your food?
Well, so this is where we're going to, and actually in this particular dish, we're using the warm winter rub in this. We're using the citrus spice and the chipotle. And
that's right, in the hash.
In the hash.
Yes.
And so the warm winter just gives this, because we already have the chili, right, in the chipotle.
Yes.
So adding the warm winter just gives it a little depth of flavor. So we're going to add it right into this beautiful brew that's just cooking away.
And one of my favorite things that I hear you say often talks not about salting your food or seasoning your food, but really flavoring your food. Giving
That's right.
purpose to everything that you're putting on it. Between the flavor and the health benefits, you got the cinnamon stick.
And that's where the cinnamon stick comes in.
All right, so grab your cinnamon stick from your kit, and that's where you put it in, right there in your chutney.
There's already cinnamon in the warm winter rub, but adding that cinnamon stick not only gives just amazing aromatics to the kitchen, it also just gives a different essence because it's a natural cinnamon oil that's being released from that's been ground.
Okay.
Again, we use beautiful organic ground cinnamon, which just it's a head to toe tonic. We're going to let that cook, and we're going to turn the heat down just a bit and let it cook just until the cherries start to bloom.
Okay.
Start to kind of break open a little bit. And that's when our sign will be that we can kind of smash them a bit with a spoon, and that chutney will be ready to go.
Now, if they used their cinnamon stick without knowing that they needed to save one for this meal, should they just add a little more cinnamon, or is there really enough?
There's enough in the warm winter, but a little added cinnamon doesn't hurt anything. It helps with stabilizing blood sugars. It helps the brain. It's fantastic. And speaking of the brain, we needed to be thinking about our pork tenderloin.
Yes,
because,
it smells so
oh my gosh, it does. If you don't have a digital thermometer, I'm a huge fan of them. PS Flavor Red. It gives you that ability to quickly see what the temperature of the pork is. You put it into the thickest part of the pork, and right now it's cooking. Let me tell you what. We're measuring it probably right around 110, depending on the part, 105. So we're going to let that go probably about another 3 minutes, which is perfect because it will give us just enough time to get the sweet potato hash.
Now, what are you kind of looking for in terms of temperature, though? Because I know sometimes if you have a manual thermometer instead of a digital, it'll say you should get your meat up to 165 before you pull it out. But is that really what we're looking for?
It really isn't, because especially in today's world with pork, our grandparents, I think we talked about this before, were very concerned. They wanted it done, cooked all the way through. That was back in the days where there wasn't the sanitation practices, there wasn't the regulations and control. Now cooking pork to a medium rare works out really, really beautifully. Letting my chutney cook, although it is so aromatic that I can hardly take it. Absolutely love it. I'm going to get the pan on for the hash. Again, similar process. We kind of take it all the way through. Going to add a little bit of olive oil to this pan as well. Sweet potatoes are already roasted. And then to this pan, we're going to add the remaining onions. We cut about, again, 1 onion. Going to use half that we already used in the chutney. We're going to add to this. In addition to the onions, we're also going to be adding our red peppers. Again, back to the question we asked before, when do you add the garlic? Not yet, because we want the garlic to be able to come in after these have begun to cook for us. Smells amazing, doesn't it?
It really does. I wish we had smell-o-vision.
I know, that'll come soon, but again, the people that are cooking this are getting those smells happening right now anyway.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is starting to cook. The only other thing that we're adding is those scallions that we already chopped as well. Another form of onion that just gives great flavor.
And great color.
Oh my gosh,
how beautiful
so beautiful.
That is.
This hash is one of my go-to dishes. I absolutely love it. I love it for the color. I love it for the wellness aspects of it. As we talked about before, I use different vegetables than just sweet potatoes. Sometimes use butternut squash. I use new potatoes or fingerling potatoes, but I keep this base pretty much the same. Onion, the scallions, the red peppers, because again, it's kind of a version of a trinity. Once we add the garlic into it as well, just gives so much flavor, and again, as you said, Nicole, just such beautiful color as well.
Now, if you wanted to take this hash and really make it almost a start of a vegetarian dish. Is there something you could do for that?
Well, actually, as you know, I work with lots of athletes, and I just had an opportunity to go to a training center, and I used this hash as a base for eggs. Made a sweet potato hash and then cracked eggs on top of it. A few people that were in totally plant-based diets, instead of the eggs, we topped it with grilled tofu, very similar to what that some are getting ready to do right now.
Shout out to Devin and Kasha.
Shout out to Devin and Kasha, exactly. Okay, so we're letting that just begin to just take that raw edge off of it. With that, what we get the opportunity to do is see a little bit of shine come. The onions become a little more translucent. Kind of tells us that it's pretty much ready to go. And while that is finishing that little cooking before I add my garlic, it's time to check the pork again.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And I think we're going to find it absolutely perfect at this point.
It sounds like it. Well, it smells like it. You can almost smell it.
You really can, right?
It's done, yeah.
Oh yeah. So again, we talked about what temperature we're looking for. I tend to look for around 130 to 135 because I do like mine medium rare. It's going to continue to cook because once we get it onto the board where it's going to be resting, it's going to have a continual cooking going on.
So you don't leave it in the pan after you take it out? Okay.
We actually take it right out of the pan and let it start to do its magic.
Oh, wow.
I know. Looks fantastic, right?
Yeah, it does. The warm winter really got it so brown and crystallized and glazed.
And glazed. And so off it goes, right onto the board. Notice I moved the board that had the raw pork on it.
Good idea.
Very important. Let it just rest there while we're finishing the sweet potato hash.
Okay.
These are all good to go. We're going to reach over, grab that garlic, add that to the dish. Let that again saute for about another 30 seconds or so. And want to add the remaining amount of citrus spice to it. Remember, we used some of the citrus spice on the sweet potatoes when we were first roasting them. This is just going to give that little added layer of flavor.
Because you're really getting your lemon, lime, you're getting so many depths by putting it in there without having to cut up and zest.
And do so many other things. Okay, so that's good to go. These sweet potatoes are long since cooled off, so they're perfect. You just add right into the pan as well. In addition to the sweet potatoes, we're going to add craisins, dried cranberries, and kale. Look at that color.
So beautiful.
Absolutely fantastic. A little bit of our kale and a little bit of our craisins.
Okay, let's see if we can get those all
coming into play.
Oh my goodness, it's so beautiful.
Now I'm using baby kale, so with that I'm adding the whole kale in. If you're buying the large leaf kale, you'll want to not only wash and dry that, but then shred it because you want shreds in here. The baby kale is very tender, so with that it's almost like baby spinach. You don't have to do a whole lot to it, but it just absolutely comes together in just such a delicious way.
Now, some people feel like kale's a little too bitter. Is there something that you took into account for that?
Well, actually, that's what this whole dish is kind of designed to do. It's to offset that bitterness in kale. Anytime you're using a bitter green like kale or arugula, having just a little bit of sweetness added to it. In this case, it's craisins. If we were doing an arugula salad, maybe we'd put watermelon into it. If we were doing Brussels sprouts, Adding again some craisins or cherries to it, just something that gives it that little bit of sweetness, helps to offset the bitterness that's there.
Is that one of the reasons you chose citrus spice to have some of that turbinado raw sugar in it too?
Yeah, and then again, the acidity of the lemon and the lime also plays a part in that. And that's done. I mean, it's the quickest thing you can ever put together. And the chutney's done too. The only thing that we need to add to the chutney right at the end is just a little touch of vanilla, because it just gives this beautiful essence of sweetness. Always using pure vanilla extract, not imitation, which is wood pulp. And just a little bit of chopped parsley into it as well. Stir that together, and we have a chutney that is just amazing. You can use it on so many things. As I mentioned, I use lots of different fruits. At Thanksgiving, I made the same chutney, as you remember, but I made it with whole cranberries instead. Sometimes, depending on your fruit, you might need to add just a little touch of honey, local honey, or a little touch of maple syrup to offset the acidity or the tartness, but let your tasting be your guide. And that's the one thing that is remaining right now, is we need to taste both of these. Tasting spoons are absolutely key.
If you haven't tasted at home, you must taste.
Yeah, key for it, because now is the time that we just want to adjust the seasoning. Perhaps we want to add just a little more touch of citrus spice.
Now, as I'm tasting, I'm curious, with the kale, it doesn't wilt quite like other, you know, others would. How far are you wanting to take it? Are you wanting it to wilt, or are you wanting to leave it nice and fresh and green?
Nice and fresh and green.
Okay.
I mean, for exactly that reason. Best you've ever had.
Best
you've ever had.
Delicious.
Same with this. This is when we would taste it. You can either remove the cinnamon stick or leave it in. Just don't serve it to your guests.
Well, what I've seen you do with it, and I may have posted a picture earlier from when we've made this before, is you actually use that cinnamon stick to top your dish.
I did.
We should do it.
That is so good. Getting that little heat.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
The warm winter, I'm even getting some of the orange.
I know, that comes from it, which is fantastic. So, ready to plate?
Ready to plate. Are you guys ready to plate?
Let's do it.
All right.
So we've had a chance for this to rest. Let's grab said plate. What we have here is a dish that we made earlier today, which is more of a family style. I don't know if that's a picture that you can get or not, but it's how we might actually serve it if I was doing it, again, bringing it to the table and getting that nice hurrah. You would literally just plate up all of the sweet potato hash and then add the pork tenderloin that's been sliced with just the cherry chutney on top of it. In this case, we'll do a single plating instead.
Okay, I'm going to try to get a Nicole cam right in on this so people can get just a hint of how to do plating the way that they do in a restaurant. Right. The way that we often see you do it at Food and Wine.
It's actually one of the questions we get most, is that how do I make my food not only delicious, but how do I make it beautiful? We're going to do a little mound of the sweet potato hash in the somewhat corner of the plate. Again, you see all of that caramelization, you see the beautiful craisins that are there with it. And now we're going to cut the pork tenderloin, and there's an art to this as well.
Okay.
What you want to do is cut it at an angle or at a bias. Why? Because it's giving more exposure. It's giving a little hint of a little bit of a larger piece. I'm going to use my tongs to help me with that.
Okay, so you're cutting it at this diagonal. I liked that, what you said, more exposure, because here we've flavored our food and we really want every bite to have flavor in it.
Exactly.
And I remember hearing you say once that when you cut it this way, it's also more tender. Which is just amazing to me that you can cut something a certain way and make it more tender.
Well, it's really important when you're doing flank steak or skirt steak, but even in this case, because you're cutting against that grain, you're getting just a little more tenderness that comes with it. We're going to take about 3 of these pieces, And you see it's got a little bit of that nice pinkness inside, which again makes me very, very happy.
Yes. How long do you think that we let that rest? Maybe?
Probably about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Which is pretty good, good time.
So really take it off the pan and then just let it sit and hang out for about 5 minutes.
And it depends on the size of the meat. My turkey, when I bring that out of the oven at Thanksgiving, I'll let that rest about 40 minutes or more.
Oh, okay.
So the larger it is, the more. Gonna pile that cherry chutney up right in the middle of that little crown of the pork tenderloin. Let the cherries just fall as they will. And then top it with just a little bit of chopped parsley. And you have got a really amazing meal.
Wow.
Good?
We did it.
We did it.
You did it.
Well,
you did great.
There's only one thing missing.
Wine.
It's wine. I mean, we've been sipping a little Chardonnay while we've been cooking, as anyone would expect.
We hope you are, yes.
But I suggest, and you might have noticed in your information about this recipe, that we have a PAM'S pick. And pork is almost a natural with either Pinot Noir, and particularly with this tart cherry, doing a Pinot Noir that's from a little bit more of a northern clime, like an Oregon Pinot Noir, which is a king of Pinot Noirs, is beautiful. A Merlot, though, could work as well, because again, it brings out the sweetness and the earthiness of the sweet potatoes. Forget the movie Sideways. Merlot is awesome, and it can work really, really beautiful. We're going to do an Arath Pinot Noir, which comes from Oregon, and I think will be absolutely fantastic.
Do you want to add your cinnamon stick?
I think we should,
because
it's just so awesome.
And because it was so pretty in the kit.
Because it was so pretty in the kit. So we've got this perfect little dish. So the little crowning touch is that cinnamon stick.
Lovely.
Perfect. Fun times, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We hope you're smelling. We hope you're excited that you're going to sit down and eat.
They're probably starving right now.
Maybe, but it has only been an hour and 10 minutes that we have cooked this entire meal.
Even with a few little technical glitches, we've still done it.
Yes.
So all good. You'll have fun.
Can I tell them about something really cool?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So you've used this knife, the Petite Centaco, the where's the other one that you used? Oh, the trimmer.
The trimmer.
And then we even have some super shears.
Yeah, the shears we used actually to do a little snip on the parsley. As compared to chopping the parsley, you can literally use the shears just to snip at the parsley. And it's just a really easy way to get all of that flavor from it without bruising it.
And we have some friends who we told about what we're doing in this club, and they happen to be from Cutco, and they were so excited about what we're doing, they offered to give away one of the knives that you used tonight to one of the PS Flavor Club members. So you'll hear more about it, but we're going to send you a survey. Give us a little technical grace, but mostly the survey about the food, the recipe, your kids,
how much fun this was,
and then we're going to do just a random draw of all the people who do the survey. And tonight they would get the trimmer, so that next time they take that silver skin off, they've got a sharp, red-handled, beautiful knife to use.
I love that.
Yes.
So the survey will come out soon?
Yes, we're going to give about a week for everybody who wasn't able to cook tonight to be able to catch up, and then the survey will come out next Tuesday.
Okay, fantastic. So with that, all we can say is bon appetit. Let's eat.
Yay!